My name is Daymond John. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an investor, I'm a brand architect, and I'm known as a shark on ABC Shark Tank.
He turned 40 bucks into a culture-defining brand. A self-made millionaire, best-selling author, star investor of Shark Tank, a kid from Hollis, Queens.
As a child, I think in 5th or 6th grade, I was selling pencils to other kids. I was doing anything and everything to make $1 at all times.
Who became a presidential ambassador for global entrepreneurship. Please welcome the founder of FUBU, the Shark Group, and Blueprint & Co. They call him the People's Shark, Daymond John.
Yes. Good to see you. Oh, what a treat for us.
Thank you. It's a treat for me.
We can't wait. By the way, as a reminder to everybody else, you can tweet your questions for Daymond. We'll read them at the end. Use the hashtag #IconicTour, and we'll get to those in just a few minutes. It's great seeing you live and in the flesh. Your story is already legend, right? Yeah. I mean, it's
Something's wrong with his mic.
Okay. You want to hold?
Yeah, sure. Got it.
Your story is already so well known, but I'm always struck by what must have been an incredible turning point for you. And that's when your mom mortgages the house for startup capital. Can you talk about how you know when it's time to roll the dice like that?
Ooh, well, I would love to say that Mom just said, oh, sure, let's mortgage the house. I had $300,000 in orders, right? And we had mortgaged the house. And, you know, I just believe that mothers are the ultimate entrepreneurs because, you know, they figure it out. They bring this life into the world, and I don't care how many books you read, there is no way to solve that issue, and they figure it out, and that's what entrepreneurs do. So trust me, it was hard getting that money from my mother, because she said, you know, when she got a mortgage for the house, she had to put down $23 for the house, and she said, you don't know what I did for that $23, right? And when I finally had those orders and I came over to her, I said, can you mortgage the house? Or she said to me, I can mortgage it. She said, because we're going to take this money out of the house and put it back in. And that's what we call proof of concept. But to make that story fairly quick for you, I closed FUBU down 3 times from '89 to '92 because I ran out of capital. But I only ran out of $2,000, $5,000, affordable steps that I could take. And then my mother saw me working so hard on creating this process, and we mortgaged the house around '95. So it's not this, you know, whole fly-by-night, hey, I got an idea, let's mortgage the house. I do not recommend that to anybody.
You do talk a lot about the affordable step forward. You put it in sort of visual terms where you're in the dark as an entrepreneur, you're sort of feeling your way around, you take a step, and you either take another step or you step back.
Right, because true entrepreneurs, we act, we learn, and then we repeat. You know, and no matter what level you're at this level, I am still learning every single day. I'm still failing every single day as well. But you know, you only need 1, 2, 3, 4 aspects of success in whatever you're doing to fuel you to keep going on.
So when it came to a decision like that, I mean, putting your house on the line, is it smarter to do that too early, too late? I mean, because no one's going to get it just right.
It's smarter to do it, you know, when the business starts calling you, you know, because you have to be real with yourself about how to operate the business, you know. I was just telling people outside, listen, don't quit your day job. You know, I was working at Red Lobster for 5 years as a waiter as I was, you know, running this business. And, you know, I would put in, you know, 40 hours at Red Lobster for the first year, and then it was 40 hours at Red Lobster and 6 hours in FUBU. Then it was 30 hours at Red Lobster, 20 hours of food because money started to come in. But if I would have quit my job after 4 or 5 years, I would have, think about that. Let's say I was making an average of $40,000 a year. After 5 years, that's $200,000 of salary, right? I would have had to sell $1 million worth of more product for FUBU to bring home the $200,000. But I didn't have to do that. I just had to sacrifice time, and you know, I just had to keep working until I found something. And if it would have failed, I still wouldn't have been owing everybody. I wouldn't have had this huge deficit. My credit wouldn't have been ruined for 7 years or whatever the case is. So it's really these theories of quit your day job, you need money to make money. All that is garbage.
That's what you mean when you say take inventory of yourself, right? and that includes your energy. It's like a stockroom of energy, stockroom of how much time you have on the shelf, and you make adjustments as you go.
How much time you have on the shelf, what people are around you, where are you weak, where are you strong, where do you need advice, who to put on full-time, but who can you get it to do it for part-time, and how can you trade some other aspect of something they need instead of having to come out your pocket with $10,000, $20,000. The first year in Shark Tank, I remember giving a company $250,000. They went and built a $50,000 website when they needed a $1,000 Facebook page. Right? They went out ahead and ordered inventory for $50,000 worth of their inventory. It was crap inventory, so whether you have, you buy 2 pieces or 50,000 units, if it's crap, it's crap. Now you've lost money on it, and you got to pay for it to be stored someplace, and when people buy it, they're buying it 10 cents on the dollar. So it's all about this whole theory of just blowing and spending money and just, people watch Wall Street and Dynasty too much. That's all crap. It really is.
This is a big theme with you, for anybody who doesn't know. You talk about, the power of Brooke, which we've all heard.
Yeah.
But you also talk about the failure of the overfunded.
Correct.
Right? Which is weird, because all we hear is about, you got to raise capital, you got to pitch and raise capital.
But you know what we're hearing it from? The people who want to take your money. That's the people we're hearing it from. Because no matter what, in any transaction, somebody makes a profit. I don't care where it is. And all the people, all these people in this audience today are working to be entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs at companies, and they're working to build a product. The people at home trying to steal from you are only working on how to convince you that you need to spend money with them in some fashion, form, or sense. Because they, for some reason, have the secret. And I have been holding back the secret to success for many years. I finally found out what it was.
Oh, really?
I didn't want to share it with anybody, but I'm going to share it with you today.
It's a good day to do that.
I'm going to share it with you today.
Okay.
Work. Bust your butt. Get up before everybody, go to sleep after everybody, and bust your butt. That's it. Sorry. That's it. It really is.
And that's what you did. I mean, that's what you did outside the New York Coliseum.
Well, what about you? You think that, look, many people would say, you just get up here and talk in your fancy suit, you look all cool, right? Nice haircut,
I shouldn't have worn this.
Right? How many doors got slammed in your face to become a successful broadcaster that shares information with us every single day?
Sure.
How many people told you you couldn't do it? How many people can get up here and talk like you? Everybody can. But how many people can share information the way you do it, in the way that it resonates with them, and it's not just you being a blowhard about yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy. No, anybody in this crowd who has any level of specialty that they've done, they've seen people come in their market, go out of their market, tell them how easy it was, point their fingers and say, yeah, I could do that. It's the same thing of being an entrepreneur. You have to bust your butt every single day and become the best you can every single day.
One of the things I admire about you is your ability, going back to the beginning, really, to get in with an influencer, right? Yeah. And leverage their power for on your behalf.
Absolutely.
So how do you do that without looking like you're begging, looking like a stalker, right? How did you get LL to do that?
Really good question. So, I always found out, I always have thought about it, and whether in business, selling to a customer or to an influencer, what's in it for them? And to get to LL Cool J, the short story is I went to his house and I asked him to wear the stuff, but I had already put the stuff around everybody in the neighborhood that were the cool influencers. The person that at that time there was no followers or whatever, but they always dressed slick, they always dressed smart. And I also did one thing. I know African Americans tend to be a little larger, height, whatever, and I knew that the fashion-forward kids, I knew they'd wear a shirt one day, wear it next, whatever, but I knew that the big guys, the bodyguards and all the guys in front of the clubs, they had no place to go but maybe one big and tall store that sold them blanks. I knew that if I made special pieces for them and I made like 20 shirts for those big guys, I know they would wear it 10 times a month instead of one time. Plus they were always going to be big billboards. Plus they were all going to be powerful looking guys or jovial guys. And I made sure that I gave that to the entire community. And those guys became my real ambassadors. So when I got to LL Cool J, he'd already had said, why didn't you give me a shirt? You know? So it is what social networking is, right? Isn't that when we go on Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat where we're liking somebody, they're liking us back, we're talking about that person, and all of a sudden somebody checks into that person a little bit and goes, why is everybody talking about you? And that's exactly what it is. You see, technology is changing. Everybody's talking about how this drastic change is happening. Change has always happened. It's just how are you going to take the fundamentals of what you do and move it over to the new way that is happening. But it's always happened, whether we turn from the agricultural age to the industrial age to the tech age, change is always going to be happening.
So does that mean you are not as worried about carnage in retail or like death of the consumer? Or are we going through just another sort of cycle of tastes or distribution?
I'm always concerned about it. You know, I think that entrepreneurs have to have a healthy paranoia. I think that there is, though, the fundamentals of business. So whether I'm standing on the corner of Harlem, the Apollo Theater, on 125th Street, or whether it's a kiosk I'm standing at in the mall, or I'm standing on a social media platform, it's the same exact way that you have to address people. It's about not giving them sales fatigue by sell, sell, sell. You do what Gary Vee would say, jab, 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 give them more information. Right hook. You have to follow them just as they follow you. And it's the same exact thing. I constantly tell people there's only 3 ways to deal or have a customer. There's only 3 ways in the world to operate business, have a customer. Acquire a new one, upsell a current one, or make one buy more frequently. That's the only way you can ever deal with a customer. And people overcomplicate these things. I'm a simple guy. I just try to narrow it down to the simplest way to do it.
Of those 3, what's the easiest thing to do?
What's the easiest one to do? Acquire a new one's always the hardest.
Yeah.
Right? Upsell a current one or make them buy more frequently all depends on what the product is. Right? So if you're selling a car, obviously making them buy more frequently, you're gonna upselling them on a car, or look exactly what Tesla does. You can hit a button and then something else is gonna work, and something else is gonna charge you for it, right? So it all depends on the brand. If you have a brand that's $1, then it's much easier to probably make them buy more frequently.
Do you have rules of thumb even now of how much cash you want on hand, percentage-wise, what your marketing costs need to be above or below, debt? And have those changed over time?
A lot of it, yeah. A lot of it, like, you know, my recent thing with my staff and I is always be one step away from the money. You know, don't go, because it used to be, let me make a product, hopefully a retailer will buy it, then hopefully this imaginary person in the store will walk by it, why they buy it, why they didn't buy it, when did it get returned. And now if I can directly communicate with you and market directly to you, then I can know why you bought it, and I can either upsell you, make you buy more frequently, or find out why you didn't buy it. So I want to be one step away from the money. Margin-wise, if I sell to retail, I want to be at a 50% margin or higher. Of course, if I'm going to the big boxes, I would be probably about 30% because I have to go to the price threshold. If I am selling direct to retailers, if I'm going to advertise or market in that business, a launch, I'm going to probably do about 7.5%. I will probably keep my advertising around 5%. If I'm selling direct to the customer because I have full margin, I'll go as high as 17% or as high as 25% if I'm doing Facebook ads and things of that nature because I have more margin in the business. So there's a lot of different things that I have standards for, but I don't want to seem like I'm too polished and I got everything together because usually usually it's come out and go, holy crap, how much we lost? Change. You know, I've had to learn that depending on what the product and or category is.
How good are you now at collecting data and sort of analyzing, sifting through all that to improve?
We are getting better at it, but you know, I always talk about mentors could be are one of the main reasons why people are successful. They're usually more mature or older than they've been through it. I've got a whole lot of really young token millennials that work in my office now, and these kids, I call them kids, it could be 30 years old. These individuals are amazing in the analytics, and they're teaching me. So again, my assets are, I am not a micromanager, but I know to get good people and give them hopefully a boost to rise up in the company and do what they want. And I'm getting more and more data every single day.
Mistakes, you've said in interviews before, we don't have enough time to talk about all your mistakes. But one mistake you brought up specifically is making an album, right?
Funding an album.
Funding an album, which seems like it would have been a natural given the brand.
Well, so FUBU, we funded an album. It was an album called The Good Life album. And here's the mistake. From a business standpoint, if I was in the record business, the album cost me $3 million. But we had some gold records on it. This record called Fatty Girl. There's a bunch of other records, right? We actually put Little John on one of the first songs. And I spent $3 million. But that was when the record business was imploding. But if I look at it from a business standpoint, I was paying for rotations of commercials. I was paying for maybe $6,000 a commercial for 30 seconds. I had full videos done, and I probably had about, you know, $30 million worth of the videos aired, right? Because they weren't charging me for that. And I licensed out the Fatty Girl jeans because it was a song, and we did about $80 million in sales off of that. But I was talking about the business side of if I wanted to open a record label, because we had these big ideas, we're gonna have a record label. That was the first and the last album.
When did you know that you were gonna backtrack on that idea? Was it right away, or did it take a while for that to sink in?
It was after probably about the 300th person started rapping to me in the streets and telling me that they were a rapper or a singer. And by the way, here's a couple of people we turned down that came over to the record label. Ashanti, 50 Cent, Eminem. We turned them all down. We said, get out of here, you'll never be anybody. And guess what? If they were signed to us, they wouldn't have been anybody, so good luck to them.
If your business is young and you find some talent you really like and they want equity, how resistant are you? Would you rather give them big fat cash before you start giving them a piece of the business?
Absolutely, but I'm not going to give them big fat cash. I would give them, and I would hope that I would give them some criterias and triggers to option into the company. Because if you're going to take big fat cash, then you have to probably second guess their belief in the company, right? Because hey, just give me a check because you're going to burn and I'm going to already have my, my interest taken care of. I understand they're probably people that have a lot of value, but is there triggers that they can hit? If you dedicate a certain amount of time or we get to a certain amount of money, play on their ego. The same as I played on LL's ego. Well, I don't know if you're so good. I mean, you could probably take this company to the roof. The same exact thing. FUBU, we have this big obnoxious 05 on all of our garments. It was because it was always 5 of us, but the 5th member never stuck around. It was 5 of those 5th members that never stuck around because they didn't want to put in the time and the energy. So I don't agree that people should just bring people on immediately, give them equity and get going. It's a dating process no matter what.
Did LL ever get compensation for that?
Oh yeah, LL did, thank God, because you know what, LL, I'm gonna tell you something. He was and is a true spokesperson and brand believer. People today, it's very clear if somebody's just getting a check or somebody's dedicated to it. And LL, he would put FUBU in the Gap commercial and instead. He would mail it to all his friends. He is by far one of the best spokespersons I ever worked with, and I work with them all. I worked with Pitbull. I've done the first 3 years of the Kardashians. I did all their product integration. I walked them around this entire city here, and I said, for $75,000, I can get some of my friends, their clothing brands, I can get them to wear your entire brand the whole year. They were like, they'll never be anybody. I heard the same thing about Pitbull, and these are the type of individuals, when you see how big and successful they are, it's because at the end of the day, they wake up before everybody. They're men and women of their word. No matter what we want to think about Kris Jenner and Kardashians, they are about their business first. Yeah. And those are the only kind of entrepreneurs that I love dealing with. Entertainers who are entrepreneurs first.
Is it ever, we're not you, so how do we get through their layers and layers of management, lawyers, accountants, publicists? Yeah. Can we even be expected to do that?
You can. I've seen it happen all the time. I see that what they do is exactly what I did on a different level. They go to the influencers who have 10 followers, 1,000 followers, whatever the case is. They bet it there. You learn your mistakes there and what's good and what's not. Listen, a Kim Kardashian may not be the best person for your brand. Everybody thinks that just because of the name, it's not the name. If she has 100 million followers, 20 million of them are girls that love her, 20 million of them are girls that hate her, and 60 million are guys with lollipops and trench coats on. It doesn't, so, if you're selling Bobby Brown, a beautiful makeup company like that, she probably may not be the one. But if you get, 100 people have 1 million followers that are experts in that field and people follow them, for certain reasons, listen, you guys hear me on CNBC, I'm like the Kardashians of CNBC, right? But people like Gary Vaynerchuk have more followers than me, right?
Yeah, okay.
Because of the purity of who he is, right? I got to be careful because I'm on Disney. Mickey Mouse will fire me if I curse. Gary will curse every single person out in this crowd right now by name.
A couple questions, and then I want to ask you for a tutorial for people who want to go on Shark Tank. But one last question here. In terms of keeping a brand fresh, once you've achieved success, once you're a lifestyle, right, like you are, how do you keep it from falling into, some would say, what happened to Hilfiger, right? Where you start migrating to demographics you didn't want to be in from a marketing standpoint?
Extremely hard. It's what I wrestle with all day. FUBU is not where it used to be. But I found, I listened to Richard Branson one time, and it was fascinating. He said how he had sold Virgin Records, and then he went over to Virgin Airlines or whatever cases, and now he has 300 businesses. And he found that he really likes the fundamentals of business, applying it to something new. It's like a Cracker Jack box. And I find that challenging as well myself. You know, I wish I can give you that answer, but I really can't. It is hard to have a brand and keep it. And I have such a huge respect for people like Coke and Phil Knight and Under Armour, because I called Phil Knight one day. I said, hey, how you doing, Phil? I think you're getting into hip hop, you know, whatever the case is, and you know, I can help you with some of these hip hop artists. He said, yeah. You know, we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg when it comes to sports. Goodbye. The man's doing $18 billion a year, and he's just scratching the surface. Yeah. Think about how focused and intense he is. So I do find it fascinating when companies can keep this longevity straight through all the way.
Yeah. All right, really quick, a tutorial for people who have dreams one day of going on the show. Is it best to over-prep or under-prep?
Always best to over-prep, but don't come up with canned answers. Come up with what you really know. Don't come up with, the market is $100 billion. If I get 1% of one, I don't want to hear that crap. Come up with what you need to know your business. You need to be excited about your business. I need to feel like you're not pitching me. You're just telling me a little story, and you know what? Maybe I can hop on the train, but the train is leaving regardless.
Is it wise to pick a shark and focus on pitching them, really?
You should pick somebody that you feel works for you best, but if you are open-minded, you don't know that. Remember, we're being interviewed just as much as we're interviewing you, and I may have a different passion for it. Robert invested in a company called Ugly Sweaters. I am too screwed up from the fashion business. Maybe I'm too close to it. He's doing $20 million in Ugly Sweaters, right? I wouldn't have done that. Lori, I've got Scrub Daddy. You know, you saw Scrub Daddy? Where is he at? He's here? Huh? Where? On the mezzanine. So Laurie's done, I think, $80 or $100 million in Scrub Daddy, and Scrub Daddy is a wonderful product. It's a sponge, right? I mean, it's a piece of crap as far as I'm concerned. Shut up! She sell anything plastic under $20, Lori can sell it. It is a good product, though, but I wouldn't have had the same vision. Yeah. And he is an amazing entrepreneur. It goes back to him being an amazing entrepreneur. Lori's horrible, but she knows how to sell plastic crap.
It's good.
I got it. You know what? You know what? I sell plastic crap. It was a guy that came on the show called Hanukkah Tree Topper. Anybody saw this thing? All right, so this guy comes on the show. It's for mixed faith families and Jewish and Catholic Christian, and it's this thing to put on the top of the tree. Now think about this. There's 50 million Jews in the world, right? How many of them are married to Catholic or Christians, right? Maybe 7. We sold 7 of them. But what did I do? I tell you, we always invest in people. He's my head of sales right there, Maury. Stand up.
Is there a word or phrase that a contestant says that makes you instantly perk up?
It's going to be some sales. Sales is, you can have your own opinion, but you can't make up your own facts. Sales cures all. And no matter how much you're looking at somebody and going, this person's an idiot. And they go, I got 20 million in sales. You go, wait a minute, maybe I'm the idiot. What's going on here? Maybe you didn't relay it the right way that this business is going. Sales cures all.
And then finally, you shoot a bunch of shows in a row.
Yes.
So how are you not fried at the end of that?
I am. We're going to start next week. We see about 200 entrepreneurs. Maury and Scrub Daddy Guy can tell you those pitches range from 45 minutes to about 2.5 hours.
45 minutes?
To 2.5 hours, yeah. You see 8 minutes of it. And we see 100 entrepreneurs in June and 100 in September. you don't want to be the 99th or 100th person coming through that door, especially after that last night we went drinking because it was like one last day. We are like, yo, we are out. But it's fun. It's competitive. I'm sitting on the stage with really brilliant people. I'm getting to see amazing people like these individuals who are doing business a whole nother way. The adrenaline is running. I'm about to either get embarrassed on national TV, maybe lose $1 million, $500,000, embarrass Mark Cuban. I'm always helping Barbara count because she can't count. She gotta take her shoes off, count with her fingers and toes. It's fascinating. It really is.
We got some questions here from viewers. Any advice for ways to balance brand authenticity while pushing the boundaries to reach a new consumer?
Very, very hard. You have to pay homage and pay over attention to the customer that you are is supporting you. The best way to do it is ask that person to go out and spread the word. And that is really what social media is, isn't it? It's talking to some person, retweeting it, regramming, whatever the case is. But you always have to be authentic to your brand because your customers have a certain perception of it. And if they think you're varying from it, you're done. You are really done. They will leave you first. Remember, when you advertise, market, or give communication, it's only for two reasons. It's either to educate a customer that you are existing or to reinforce that they are part of the right community with you. That's only two reasons for advertising.
Another question. We all have 24 hours in a day. In FUBU's infancy, how did you identify the most important daily tasks to succeed?
Really, really good question. I looked at it as what was going to move I always did 20% or 30% of offense, and the rest was on defense because I would wake up in the morning, I would look at my 10 tasks, I would try to knock out the first 6 or 7 that would put out fires, and then try to make sure that I knock out 3 or 4 that would move the ball up the court. I mean, I love that Chris Sacca, one of my fellow Sharks, always says he looks at his inbox as defense, his outbox as offense.
We love Chris. What are some identifiable goals and benchmarks when looking to establish proof of concept for a business or brand?
I mean, every brand is different. It's going to be some kind of conversion of sales. Now, sales doesn't have to always be a dollar figure. Sales can be likes, sales can be how many views were shared, how many times the video was viewed. People always say, can I get a deal on Shark Tank if I did $50 worth of sales? And I said, well, if you had somebody who was selling for $1, you opened up a trunk outside the mall and you sold 50 of them in an hour, that's a big business. Yeah. All right, so it's always the benchmark that you put on yourself. Now, if you have, $10,000 worth of sales over 10 years, there's a bigger problem. All right, and we find that on Shark Tank. Some people say, hey, I did $6 million, and I find out it was since 1977. You know what I mean? Like,
has coming from humble beginnings and becoming so successful made you more philanthropic?
It has, seeing the world and seeing what real challenges are, seeing people who has lost everything, or they've never had anything, or, they've lost their entire family. I'm talking losing everything, meaning an enemy tribe butchered your family physically. And then when I come back and I see that we're complaining over not being able to get the new big screen TV, or seeing our animals that can't defend themselves, and and we're doing things to them, it has made me more philanthropic. So, I'm all about clean water. I'm about taking legal guns off the streets. I'm about financial intelligence. I'm about educating our minorities to be empowered a little bit more. I have 3 daughters, a wonderful mother, and my ex-wife and my current fiance. I am surrounded by beautiful women. I'm about women empowerment. About appreciating our most underappreciated commodity in this country, which are teachers. So these are the things that I'm passionate about.
Really nice.
Thank you.
Just as a quick follow, not to get too political, does it matter to small business or entrepreneurs who's in the White House at any given period, or who controls Congress?
Yeah. Not at all. It does not matter, because you can have a college degree from Harvard. I've met a bunch of people with a college degree from Harvard who are scooping ice cream somewhere. So that doesn't give you anything. The government is not going to do anything for you. Listen, I don't care who's in government, but if the top job for men in this country are operating heavy machinery and trucks, if everything's going automated and autonomous, then what is Congress going to do for you? If you don't learn coding or anything else like that, then you're out of a job. You're done. right? So it's all about educating yourself. And we're at a time when things are changing so fast, you have to remember what your parents used to say to you. Go to the library, pick up a book and read. Go on the internet, pick up and understand how to code. Understand that you don't need a $50,000 website, and if you do, you're gonna build it yourself. You are now $50,000 in the black. That's what's happening now. Nobody's gonna do it for you. You have to educate yourself. Thank you.
Last question. How do you bring your business idea into tangible products? How do you find somebody who will help you create your product?
I mean, that's sourcing. That's very hard. I mean, even at this stage, we're still sourcing over different countries and different things like that. How do you find somebody? I mean, it all depends on what you're trying to do. Listen, you're trying to make a T-shirt. You go down go down to a local T-shirt printer or a seamstress and get it made. You're trying to make a heart valve. You got a different issue, a different issue right there. So I don't really know. That's a very general question. Very, very hard.
Daymond John, ladies and
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
Wow. You are the man. Daymond, thank you. We want to thank all of you. We want to thank our partners in Inc. Magazine, our sponsors at T-Mobile. Don't forget LA, next stop in September. Hope you'll join us for that. In the lobby, the bar is open. Thank you, guys. Nice work. That was great.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.